Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Yes, that's right. It's just Friends. No Scotty G. Jake and Ben sitting in. Brought to you by our friends at Mountain Land Supply.
Has anyone ever had a show just called Friends? That's a great idea.
No, I don't think so.
It's open? It's available
It's
to
open.
us?
It's available.
Let's do it. Friends. I like it. It has a ring to it. Flesh that out a little. Figure out what we can do.
Where is Scotty G, Lloyd?
Well, Scotty is like one of the most unlucky travelers there are. He's got a flight that was delayed, so I think he's in the air right now.
Going to San Diego.
Going to San Diego.
Why isn't he traveling with the team?
I'm not sure why he didn't on this one. I think he did. He does occasionally here and there.
Yeah.
Depends.
Box out that charter, bro. I know
This one he did not.
Trying to do that job without that advantage would be very difficult.
So anyway, Scotty on a plane battling a delay.
Battling delays. He was supposed to fly out yesterday. So
It got delayed overnight?
got delayed a couple times. So I guess he had to fly out this morning, and
I'm
that
surprised.
got delayed like an hour, I guess. So yeah.
So he's on the beach then.
So he's on the beach, yeah.
So he's at
He's
the
a
zoo.
very, very unlucky traveler.
Yeah, poor Scotty. All right.
Poor Scotty.
Well, yeah, Ben and I will hang out with you for an hour. Danny Ainge is going to be on with us at 12:30. That'll be a nice treat to get to talk to the CEO of the Jazz.
You snooze, you lose, Scotty G.
Yeah.
You're going to grill him?
I always do every time I see him.
You're going to rake him over the coals?
Can't wait. Stick it to Danny
Hey,
Ainge.
don't put that out there because I'm going to get a text that actually I'm not available today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Oh, okay. No. Extremely fluffy interview with Danny Ainge coming your way at
Softballs.
12:30.
Just softballs. Goes back to his
which
baseball
favorite
days.
kind of food, Danny? No, I'm excited for that. That's awesome. In fact, it's really great that, and we have a lot of great regulars from the Jazz and the Mammoths, but super cool that the CEO of the Jazz comes on the station every week.
Again, I have no idea why Danny Ainge is not yet in the Hall of Fame. I've asked him about it. He says he's never once thought about it. Which, getting to know him a little bit, at least in my relatively shallow relationship with him, I do believe he's probably never thought about it in his life. I don't get the impression that that's kind of how he views himself or looks at his life. I don't think he kind of considers himself that way. So, yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed the Danny Ainge experience that I have had personally. I will say that.
And he got the Cougs to the Sweet 16, so we can talk to him about college hoops.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, when you get destroyed out there, what actually happens?
That's a good question. Yeah.
What do you do with that? Ben, you want to start with that, the BYU basketball game, or I've got a true national controversy with a local tie in the world of college recruiting
Okay.
for football.
All right.
Where do you want to start?
Let's hear your national controversy.
Oh, okay. We want to do this for starting lineup? I don't know if this is starting. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Do we have an open to hit, Lloyd? Oh, well, by all means.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is such a dumb top story. Jacoby Lane, Ben, is a safety, I think, now graduated from USC.
Okay.
Well, he went to Twitter a few days ago and says, this kid stole my cleats and a bunch of stuff from the SC locker room. All y'all kids out there know this is simply unacceptable. And he screenshotted a post from Brawley. Let's see. I should have brought my glasses, Ben.
Tui Tupo.
Tui Tupo,
Yeah.
who is an all-around star at Mountain View from Orem. Well, Brawley has responded, Ben, because he did not like being accused of stealing things. He said, quote, "I did not steal any gear, nor I would have ever knowingly possessed stolen property. The items in question were purchased by me in good faith, and I have documentation showing that I paid for them under the context that they had been obtained legitimately at the time of purchase. I had no reason to believe they were connected to any issues." And he went on to say his reputation is important to him, and he's taken steps to rectify the situation.
So,
And where is his glasses? He can't see without his glasses.
thank you for that. Are we assuming
Lloyd can't play like that, but somehow he can find that. Terrific.
Well, that crosses over multiple shows. It's too funny. So is the assumption here that somebody stole cleats, gloves, socks, a windbreaker out of Jacoby Lane's locker, the exact items he's missing, and then our local Brawley Tui Tupo, bought them from that person, bought stolen goods? Because I don't think Brawley is saying, look, here's the receipt from Dick's Sporting Goods, and I went and bought them there. I think he is kind of implying that he bought them from somebody else. He bought stolen goods, not knowing they were stolen.
I get that
Is that
impression
what we're
too.
to deduct?
But
Okay.
how do you document that? Ben, you steal things and fence them all the time. Do you issue receipts?
Specifically, the reason I steal stolen things is because it's impossible to document where. I
Yeah.
got
So
them.
what is he doing? Did you take a selfie with the guy?
He probably has. Who was our college football player who was betting on college games? Who was that a couple of months ago? He's got to have a receipt on Venmo, would be my guess. He has proof of Venmo that says, fight on or hashtag fight on for $75 to whoever the person was who stole, John Mateer, who was betting on college games, and in his Venmo receipt put the game and the score because he was gambling. That was great. I think that has to be where he would say his proof comes from. It's got to be a Venmo purchase or Cash App or whatever you use.
Because it would be pretty brazen to take a visit to a university and then clean out some locker.
Hey,
when they're showing you
LeAngelo
around.
Ball went to China and stole sunglasses. So
Yeah,
young
I
kids
know.
do stupid things. And
Yeah.
but I'm not going to say Brawley did that. I never met this person.
I think that somebody else cleaned out the locker and then stole it to Brawley, or at least that's what he's implying. But again, I don't. Okay, a Venmo that would make
That would
more
probably be
sense.
the best way to do it.
Because if you're stealing things and issuing receipts to somebody you sell it to, that's probably.
But poor Brawley, because Jacoby did just put him right on blast. He screenshotted his Instagram page. Didn't even screenshot necessarily the photos. He did in one of the pictures later, but just goes to his main Instagram page and puts him on blast and says exactly. He said, "This kid stole my cleats and a bunch of stuff from my SC locker room."
Yeah.
That's tough. Well, hoping for the best.
By the way, do you have to be likes to fight guy if your name is Brawley? I have no idea if he's likes to fight guy or not, but in the boy named Sue kind of thing, like if your name's Brawley, don't you have to like at least be in one barroom brawl?
You better be able to scrap a little bit.
Yeah.
And his name is spelled Brawl. Brawl.
Yeah.
Not BRO or BROHL.
That's a
something like
lot
that.
of pressure.
It is.
That's a lot of pressure
Right.
on a young man.
I might recruit him as a football player based on name only.
I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Brawley.
Well, yeah, especially if he didn't clean out some dude's
Simply if he
locker.
didn't do it, yeah.
I would too.
Absolutely.
Well, certainly, if you did clean out someone's locker, I would not post it on social media.
Yeah, I think he's probably smarter than that. I'm going to give this kid credit that he didn't, steal this equipment.
all this stuff.
Shout out Brawley.
No, I think our guy Jacoby has a teammate that might have done him.
100%. This was a equipment manager, janitor.
This is the backup punter being like, Jacoby's going to the league. He doesn't need any of
And then
this crap.
went to Facebook Marketplace or whatever and said, "Hey, look what I've got."
Oh, well, then probably approached Brawley on the recruiting visit. He did take a recruiting visit
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
USC.
Yeah, and said, "Yeah, do you want to be decked out in gear?
Yeah, here you go.
Here, I got a deal for you."
Just give me $100.
Well, wishing Brawley the best
Well, absolutely. He's caught up in a controversy, Ben.
and Jacoby the worst.
This is making national news. Why Jacoby the worst?
False accusations.
He didn't
Point
know.
the finger.
He just knew his stuff got stolen. Listen, if your stuff got stolen and it shows up on some dude's Insta Snap,
That is true.
you're assuming that bozo robbed you.
The moment I can't find my headphones here or the little adapter, the little headphone nipple that you have to have because the plugs here are bigger, it's not like your normal aux cord, I immediately go to Jeremiah Jensen. And I just get on Twitter and I put him on blast immediately.
If Jeremiah had sent out a snap talk of a picture of that and said, "I just stole this from Ben," then I think you would be justified.
I would be justified, but if he didn't say I stole these, he just says, "Look at this gear I have."
You would assume it
What
was
if you put
Jeremiah.
out like an Insta tweet?
Yeah, absolutely. Snap talk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You would throw down with Jeremiah right here because you are likes to fight guy. Your middle name is Brawley. No?
No, I don't think anyone would accuse me of being a brawler.
Not your thing?
Not my thing. Don't have the physical makeup.
Well, he is a hardcore skater, so I would imagine.
Salazar, you've been in a barroom brawl before.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No?
You're throwing
No.
bottles.
I just would assume
An instigator.
Naturally.
just
The
watch.
Portuguese are big bar brawlers. Yes.
Hey, I've known you for a long time, Lloyd. I didn't know what you did from your ages of like 15 to 21. It could have involved some brawls. You went to Murray.
Well, yeah, the mean streets of Murray. Absolutely.
There's a lot of brawling in Murray.
They call me Hector Macho Camacho for nothing.
Yeah.
And your kids are scrappers.
Absolutely. Well, one of them's a scrapper for sure.
Where'd you get it
We're
from?
not quite sure where. I think that he got that from Mama.
Okay.
Mama's a scrapper.
I could see him getting that from Mom.
Yeah.
His cunning side though, that's all. That's all.
His watch your backside.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
all. That's all Lloyd right there. No, hey,
Better watch your back.
you know that scene in the Royal Tenenbaums where it's Gene Hackman who's sitting there with Ben Stiller, or the kid character of Ben Stiller's character, and he accuses Gene Hackman of defrauding Ben Stiller's company. You know what I mean? And Gene Hackman just kind of smiles and whatever. That's going to be reverse for Lloyd and his son, where at like 10, Lloyd's going to open up his debit card or whatever, and it's going to be all gone. His young son is going to have like
stolen all the family money.
Defrauded him of all the. Lloyd's going to find out like the mortgage is gone, and all of a sudden, you know, old Jackie Blue Eyes is going to be like, "Oh, coincidence! I just came into 100K."
As long as he's not stealing cleats.
Yeah, if you take a recruiting visit, what's his sport? Does he know yet?
I
know Xavier's
soccer,
a baseball
he's
guy.
big soccer, but you know what? He had a huge monster game on his last game in junior jazz.
Okay, maybe a
Huge
basketball player.
Scored like 24 points.
Hey.
Oh.
24 of the 34 points.
Yeah.
Dominated.
But just tell him, say, hey, I don't want to know what you got going on, but just don't steal sunglasses in China because Dad ain't coming.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You have to find your own way back.
You don't have that LeVar Ball pull.
No,
you know,
no,
just
no,
don't have
absolutely
that.
not.
We can. You want to give your thoughts on the BYU basketball performance before we get to the two? I just wanted. Well, we got a couple minutes left, Lloyd. We'll be on.
We got
time
a whole hour. We're good.
We'll be on time
I
for
know.
Danny Ainge. Ben wants to barbecue the Cougars.
I don't actually think that was that bad of a loss for BYU. It was ugly, and it was lopsided, but you just move on to the next game. I do think the nice thing, I think we are still a little WCC brained. I think we are a little wounded by watching BYU lose a game that they weren't quote unquote supposed to lose, and thinking that decimated their opportunities to still win coming up in March. And it's just not true in the Big 12. So in one sense, wow, if, March 14th, BYU's been eliminated in the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament, we might look back at the Central Florida game and say, that was probably one of the signs along the way that this team was not ready to compete at the highest level. There's also a very real chance where you just flush this game and you move on. You beat Texas Tech the last week of the season, or the last game of the season. You go into the tournament remembering what you did to Iowa State. You have a little bit of momentum. You're going to have the best player on the floor every night. You suit up, and you move forward from there. So in that sense, they didn't play well. That's fine. Teams don't have to play well every game, is the truth, because the college basketball regular season doesn't matter that much. And, in fact, it weirdly matters less now that BYU's in the Big 12 than it did the WCC.
Oh, big time, night and day.
Yeah,
night and day. I think their problem is consistency. Like, how do you get the best basketball, out of the team without having these huge swings?
Yeah.
Because if you show up one day and don't show up the next in the tournament, or Big 12 tournament for that matter, you're going to take an ugly loss. So I don't think there's anything really to write home about in this loss. You talked about it earlier today. UCF's probably a better team than people are giving them credit. But
absolutely.
I don't think that's what the game yesterday was about. I think Kevin Young, as a young coach, has to figure out a way to pull the strings to get his team all on the same page at the same time and playing well. Getting them to show up for games and not get off to bad starts. I think it's all related.
And I'm not trying to compare these two teams. We talked about them during our show earlier today. But, we talked about Carmelo's run through the championship and leading Syracuse to a title. It's like, do you remember the weird games they lost throughout the regular season? Of course you don't. Like, they lost to Rutgers that season. Who cares? And it wasn't a 30-point loss, and maybe that will – I'm not expecting BYU to win the championship this year and the way that Carmelo and Syracuse did. But teams lose games. This is not college football either, where you have to win every week to be respected. Duke has weird losses this year. Houston has some weird losses this year. It's just going to happen.
Probably good not to go down 36 on your own home floor.
And if that's what happens, how do you respond? That's always the question. How are you going to respond to that? That's going to define you more than the one loss during the regular season when you're not playing one-and-done basketball.
They need a guard. That would be a good place to start.
They need two guard, not they need a guard.
No, they need two guards.
To defend. Absolutely.
They need, as a team, to not give up 90-plus points.
I've been pretty underwhelmed by Kevaketa this year, and he's never been a guy who's playing 30 minutes a night. He's a 20-minute a night guy and doesn't get a lot of shots. Didn't get 2 shots last night, and they're clearly not kind of figuring out some of the pick-and-roll stuff that I think made him dynamic, or his ability to clean up the offensive glass, that he had kind of create all of his own shots that way. But, man, 14 minutes, I think, last night, I'm just a little underwhelmed by his production. Now, one of his issues is, as athletic as he is, he's not a big who's going to step out and defend on the perimeter. You know, there are a lot of possessions you watch and he's just not guarding anybody because he's a little rim bound. He's a little paint bound and you know, trying to clean up any mistakes for guys who do drive past him. You wonder if that might be part of the issue. So they've got major issues to clean up. No question about it.
We got an update on the stolen merchandise situation.
Okay.
Our friend 801 Sports tweeted the show. And he said the person that stole it originally was from Corner Canyon.
Well, that makes sense.
And then linked to the, college transfer portal site that said Jacoby Lane's items were actually taken by freshman O-lineman Isan Tafa, who's an early enrollee, and gave the items to...
Jeez.
Yeah. So there you go. Mystery solved.
See if he sticks around. Also, James Harden apparently broke his thumb on his right hand, which is... He's left-handed, but...
Still not good?
Not good.
All right, stay tuned. CEO of the Utah Jazz, Danny Ainge, will be on the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben in for Scotty G for the moment, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben in for Scotty G and Friends. Want to remind you about University of Utah Health. Hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. We're going to talk to Danny Ainge, CEO of the Jazz, coming up here in a matter of minutes. Scotty is traveling, had some travel issues. He's headed to San Diego for a honestly critical showdown between Utah State and San Diego State. Utah State has to at least split between a road game at San Diego State and a home game at New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
At least. And I think the tiebreaker scenario might even...
To win the Mountain West Conference regular season.
Right. And... there's talk the Mountain West, it might only be a 2-bid league this year. So winning the regular season conference title might have some...
Go a long way.
Additional meaning.
Yeah. Certainly great if you could just get the auto bid and punch your own ticket. But if you don't, because you can't really guarantee anything that's going to happen in March, got to go for it.
And the Aggies don't win in San Diego all that much. Mm-hmm. So they got to go down there and get that W. And then obviously much better to have New Mexico at home.
Yeah.
If it indeed comes down to that, where you've got a must-win, you'd certainly rather have it at the Spectrum there in Logan. The Jazz have a couple of games coming up at home, Ben, as you alluded to earlier. It feels like a long time since we've had a home game at Delta Center. They're playing 2 in a row against Zion Williamson and the Pelicans.
And a better Pelicans team than probably some people recognize. Their results for the season have not been good. But you actually look back, I'm trying to count how many games this is. It's maybe their last 13 games. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're probably 7-6 over their last 13 games. They just beat Golden State last night, got DeJounte Murray back, so they're playing better than their record would indicate.
All right, joining us now, making his weekly appearance on the station. Excited to be filling in so we can talk to the CEO of the Utah Jazz, Danny Ainge.
Hey,
What's
Danny.
going on, Danny?
Good morning, Jake and Ben. How are you guys doing?
We're doing terrific. Appreciate you jumping on with us. Hey, I want to ask you, we learned about Yusuf Nurkic's nose surgery. He's going to be out for the remainder of the year. But he really brought something very unique. His passing is something we've not seen in Will Hardy's system a whole lot. Kelly Olynyk maybe could do it some. But is the dynamic that Nurk created something you guys would like to be able to maintain next season, whether that's with Yusuf or another player?
Yeah, Nurk is he brings a fun element to the game. He moves the ball. He handles the ball out top. Allows the guys to cut and the space to open a little bit. And he's even made a few threes from out there this year.
So in my opinion, I think Keyonte George and his evolution of as a player has been the number one story of this Jazz season. I'm curious to your thoughts on why we've seen him get so much better.
I would say, Keyonte has always had the talent and always had this upside. And I think that he's worked really hard in the summer and I think he's mentally in a good place, and physically he worked extremely hard on his conditioning and strength training in the off season, and I think it's paying dividends for him. And he has some good players, like you mentioned, Nurk and Lauri, and those guys. There's a lot of guys out there, Kevin Love, that have made it easier on him.
Are you able to project which guys you think will be able to grow from a maturity standpoint? I mean, emotionally, coming out of college, because that wasn't it. I was in the locker room with Keyonte for his first couple of years, and at times it felt distracting. And it's totally different this year. It's hard to really explain how dialed in he seems, how intentional everything he does is now. Is that something you are able to project? You think, hey, I think this guy will grow up once he gets to the league?
You know what? I think everybody grows up as life goes on, and getting into the league when you're 19 is tough, and expectations, and they just don't know anything. Don't know anything about the game, don't know anything about the league, what it takes, and so they learn, and hopefully they're surrounded by some good people, and they catch on, and they figure it out. But not everybody does, and not everybody's talented enough to be, what Keyonte has done this year. But I give him the credit for just hanging in there and learning and growing, and hopefully there's just still a lot more growth in him going forward.
How hard is it to pull off a big trade in the NBA? You guys pulled off a big one with Jaren Jackson Jr. How hard is that to do, meaning like how much has to fall into place that is outside of your control as opposed to like sheer will of we're going to get this done?
Yeah, sometimes the sheer will leads you to bad deals.
Right.
I think it is hard. It's very hard. It's always been hard. And I remember when I was involved in Boston and we traded for KG, and some said, "Well, why didn't you do this 2 years ago?" Well, we'd have loved to have done that 2 years ago. And this one is similar. I don't think Jaren Jackson was available at age 24, and that would have been easy to do, or a very, very hard thing to do. So anyway, we're excited to have Jaren on board, and we look forward to him getting 100% healthy and learning our system and being ready to go.
You've got 3 season-ending injuries now on the roster with Nurk and with Walker Kessler and with Vince Williams and that terrible ACL injury. We don't know if we're going to see Jaren Jackson Jr. again. You do have an open roster spot. Do you anticipate using that open roster spot for 10-day guys or maybe bringing somebody up before the end of the year?
Yeah, we're talking a lot about that. And so that's something, actually, we're going in for a meeting here in about an hour to discuss all the different possibilities and what positions are most needed. And, that's something that we're discussing, is filling those roster spots that we have available. And but mainly the one roster spot with a 10-day contract potentially.
What are you looking for the rest of this season? Is there an opportunity for certain players to prove themselves, earn roles, that sort of thing? Like what do you have your eye on from an evaluation standpoint?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out, when guys are playing with really good players on the court, they sometimes get lost in what they're capable of doing, and it's a big adjustment. I remember my rookie year, I had to make an adjustment of playing with Kevin McHale and Larry Bird, and, it's different. And so I've seen a lot of guys around the league in my time in the NBA where, just different roles make players play better. And you see more of what they're capable of doing and what their strengths and weaknesses are rather than, fitting into a team. And so we're just experimenting and exploring some of those combinations and some of those different roles for players. But yeah, we want to see all of our young guys continue to get some opportunities because we have some big decisions to make this summer.
Yeah, along those lines, next season, Jaren's going to be fully healthy. You're going to have Lauri, assuming he's back, obviously, and Keyonte George is going to be back. Walker's going to be back, assuming you're going to be ready to run. You're going to be ready to go and kind of start winning at a high level. Ace still needs a lot of time to develop. Cody needs time to develop. You're projected to have another top 8 pick that's going to need a lot of time to develop. How do you avoid kind of the 2 timeline trap that we've seen hurt some teams in Golden State or Portland, or is that just kind of the nature of the business with young players?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to have too many. You need to have more of you can always have a development player or two, in trying to build winning teams, but not too many. That's for sure. We need to make some decisions on them. But yeah, we're getting a chance to see those guys play a lot. in this last part of the season.
I find it funny the reputations that drafts get, right? Like, ooh, this is going to be a good draft, or this is a not so good draft. Do you buy the hype about this upcoming draft and the type of player you can get?
I don't really pay much attention to the hype because some drafts are just predicated on the top one or two, and the odds are that you don't get those kind of guys. So you have to be prepared for the depth in the draft and where you could possibly fall to get a different player. But I do like a lot of players in this draft, players that might not even be first-round draft picks, and play a lesser role on an NBA team. But I think that there are good players. Yeah, a lot of good young players in this draft.
It's amazing to look back at last year's draft and how productive it's been. I mean, there are real difference makers, which is unusual for first-year players. But, between Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg and Ace, obviously, BJ Edgecombe's been great, and several players drafted after you guys have really turned into great players early. This could be one of the better drafts we've seen.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's right. Yeah, there's some good players. There's good players in every draft, and sometimes they don't manifest themselves and make it known really early, but they grow and develop and turn into great players.
Okay, this is a really dumb question, but I don't get to ask you, or I don't get to interview you all that often. Who is the best two-sport athlete when you're talking about golf and basketball?
I would say Steph Curry.
Have you golfed with Steph?
I have, yeah.
Not Mike Smith, then.
Well, I wasn't. Mike is very good. Mike and Steph would have a good match if they played against each other, but I would give Steph the edge in the basketball part.
Hey, we've seen Dwayne Wade and Ryan Smith both have hole-in-ones in the last year. Do you have a hole-in-one in your career, Danny?
I have one hole-in-one, yeah.
Okay.
I need some more.
What's it like to play golf with Charles Barkley? Sorry about all these golf questions, but I mean, is the swing as bad in person?
No, so, when I played with Charles in Phoenix, we played 3 years as teammates, and we played quite a bit of golf together, and it was fun. And Charles was, an 80s, mid to low 80s shooter and player. And then it was like right after that time, he kind of lost his swing. And I heard that he had even played left-handed for a stretch in golf trying to find it back. But I also have heard, which I haven't played with him for a long time, that his game is back. And I've talked to him on the phone about trying to get together and playing again soon. But I think his game is back, and he's figured it out after a long struggle with his swing. So anyway, I'm excited to have the opportunity to play with Charles again. He's fun, and as you guys know, he makes you laugh about every 30 seconds.
Since we're going down memory lane a little bit, this is certainly not the brightest topic, but I'm curious about somebody who, was more cognizant of the era. Did you ever meet Len Bias? I mean, he was such an instrumental part of what that Celtics team was going to be after you guys won the title. Had you ever met him?
Yeah, so I met Len Bias. He was at Celtics camp, at Red Auerbach's camp, and I met him briefly the year before his, junior year at Maryland. But I met him for an evening the night he was drafted, the day after he's drafted, and he showed up for a Reebok party because I was a Reebok athlete myself, and we had this big Reebok party, and Len Bias was coming into the Celtics, and he was going to sign with Reebok. And so we were together that night before he passed. And I got up the next morning, and I was headed to the golf course, and I stopped at a gas station to fill my car up. And the gas station attendant says, "Hey, I'm sorry about Len Bias." And I go, "Sorry about what? He's going to be great. Are you kidding?" And he goes, "No, I'm sorry that he passed away." I go, "No, I was just with him at midnight last night, up until midnight here in Boston." And he said, "Yeah, he passed away this morning." And anyway, I just kind of sat in my car for a half an hour just doing nothing. And then I turned on the radio, and they had all the news on the radio. And anyway, it was very, very sad, and could have been transforming to, the whole organization. But he was a great kid, and very unfortunate situation.
We won't end the interview on. We'll pick a little rosier thing. How about do the Cougs still have a chance to make a run? You think?
Yeah, it could be the best game. State, probably the worst game against BYU. But last night. Yeah. So I mean, all it's so you lose. There's no guarantee.
All right, Lester, we'll say goodbye to Danny. Were you thinking for us? We were coming up to an end anyway, and it stinks to end on a bad connection. But that was super fun. I had to get that golf stuff in there. Uniquely qualified to talk about that. Imagine how many people in the basketball world Danny Ainge has played golf with.
I mean, going back to he was talking about the night Len Bias died. He was going to golf that next day, so it's been a part of his routine as well. I'm sure he's golfed with Michael. I'm sure he's golfed with everybody.
Well, there's a scene in The Last Dance, right, where he plays golf with Michael during
the playoff run,
during the finals.
Yeah, was it the finals? At least a playoff run.
I thought it was the finals.
Maybe
but I could be
when
wrong.
they were playing Phoenix. Was Danny on that team?
No. It was when the Jazz were playing.
Oh, okay, because Last Dance. It was
and
just
then
talking about that.
yeah, and then he was playing. I think during one of the off days, they mentioned that it was a foursome with Danny, and I was trying to remember who else. But I could. Golf is such a great sport for that reason, the social aspect and all of that. I can't imagine if he could put together like a foursome of players that he's actually played with. Who would they be? I was trying to think of the best way to ask that.
No, thanks for ending it on a downer note.
Yeah, way to go,
it.
Ben.
That was awesome.
Bright and shiny. Can we talk about the cocaine overdose?
I didn't ask about that. I asked about if he'd ever met Len Bias. I talked to Quinn Snyder about Len Bias, and it was one of the few times Quinn ever really lit up. You know, Quinn was not Quinn did not like to relive his playing days at all. He just really never talked about it. A couple of times he'd get into it and talked about some funny like off-season stories and going and playing for pay games. They'd call these games called barn burners, and you would go and you would play in kind of these unregulated games against other teams, and donors would come in and pay money to watch you play. And Quinn talked about that one time. I thought that was really fascinating. But he talked about playing against Len Bias, just said it was just shocking how good he was. And, Danny was on the other end of that. I mean, they were waiting for Len to come in after they won the title to bring in the number 2 overall pick. So, uniquely qualified.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Scotty G and Friends coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Scotty G and Friends, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake and Ben sticking with you for the first hour. That was a lot of fun talking to Danny Ainge.
I have, when Danny got hired, I'd never met him before. I'd never talked to him coming over from Boston and jumping on the Jazz. And he just had this reputation as the Grim Reaper. I mean, that was kind of what people had thought was going to be his identity. And I'd never met him before, so I just kind of thought, well, that's his reputation. It must, it precedes him for a reason. He has been nothing but the exact opposite. He is one of the most pleasant faces that I see day to day, and now I don't play for him. I'm not on a team that he manages, so it doesn't really impact me that way. But as far as people who I have enjoyed talking to every chance I've seen them, Danny is near the top of the list for me personally. He's really enjoyable to talk to. He's a very enjoyable person to be around in this environment. I have no idea what it's like to be a point guard on his team. Maybe it's far more difficult. But from a media standpoint, I've quite enjoyed having Danny around.
I don't understand how you remain a good person while doing his job. Mm-hmm. So if he is succeeding at that, I commend him. I'm joking just because it's such a cold job. I mean,
yeah,
and
good person used lightly.
He's been particularly cold at it, and I don't mean that critically. I mean that you've got to do the job. I mean, I talked to I was on the afternoon show and Stevenson Sylvester was on, and we were talking about kind of locker room dynamics and the rest of the Jazz season, and he was talking about how players this is their lives and their livelihood, and they still have to do what's best for them and take advantage of opportunities and all that stuff. And the job of a executive in any sport is to ignore all that and do what's best for the team. And I would think that would be very hard to do that and to maintain, a positive relationships with
everybody.
Because your job is to ruin dreams and ruin dreams and change lives overnight.
Yeah.
like Taylor Hendricks and Walt Clayton and Slow-Mo, all their lives were just changed overnight. And I'm sure, I guess I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I would guess that Danny Ainge has some affection for those three players.
Of course.
You got to throw that in the drawer and do what's best for the franchise, because that's your job. I would guess that is harder to do and maintain your sense of humanity.
James Harden, in his press conference when he was being introduced to the fans at the Cleveland Cavaliers, said the whole loyalty thing is overrated, which I think is accurate in a sense, especially if winning at all costs is the most important
overrated
thing for
you.
Who? Probably organizations, and probably for players as well. Loyalty, why should James Harden be loyal to anyone? He's trying to make as much money as he can in this very brief window of his life, where he can make as much as anybody.
The mistake James Harden made is he believed what am I looking for here? He believed that the franchise, like Houston, for example, was actually handing their franchise to James Harden because he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because of him and not his basketball playing ability. So then when Houston turns around and goes, well, you're not that good actually, so we're moving you. And maybe James Harden's a bad example because he fatted his way out of Houston or whatever. But James Harden with Philly when they didn't give him his extension. Yeah. And he went on a tour of China boo-hooing about how bad of a person Daryl Morey is and how he felt betrayed or whatever.
Yeah.
Daryl Morey didn't betray James Harden. He used James Harden. He used James Harden in his best years to put Daryl Morey looking in a good position, right? It was never about the relationship. It was about him maximizing James Harden as a basketball player, which is the job.
Yeah, I'm really curious about this, and maybe I'm just too close to it now, and I've been doing this too long, so I've just gotten into I'm too close to it to really be able to appreciate one way or the other. But I do at times wonder if fans. So who does Danny work for? Danny works for Ryan Smith, and Ryan Smith, I think's ultimate goal probably is to win a championship. And I say probably because I also think Ryan wants to have a fan base that enjoys the product that he has. And I do think sometimes we say, well, the best way to do that is to win a title. You will become legendary and the fan base will enjoy it. But let's say the Jazz do win a title and this whole 4 years ends up succeeding in the sense that the Jazz get to take home the Larry O'Brien trophy. Do fans forget this 4 years? Do fans just blow this 4 years away and say, oh, well, they were right the whole time and that was exactly worth it? Or does the fact that fans have been unhappy in some sense for a few years now with the rebuilding, we see the narrative and every Facebook reply, et cetera, is, oh, well, they don't care. Why should I? Do you think keeping fans happy, which is something you do through loyalty to players, should matter more to Danny Ainge's job? Like the fact that you're creating a product just that people enjoy day to day versus the ultimate goal being winning a title?
What are you asking? Should the general manager care about the feelings of his players, or should he care only about winning?
Specifically the fans. That you have a product. Your product is selling something to fan bases, and that's what the NBA, that's what football, that's what everything is. You're presenting something to the fans. Is a better product just something that has those storylines where I've built this relationship with this player that I love watching them play and I can root for them for their whole career, and if they don't win a title, who cares? I got to know this person, I feel like personally, because I watched them for 15 years or 10 years or whatever. Or is it better to just say, I don't care about those storylines at all. I want a title at all costs?
No, I think that depends entirely on who you are. Because I don't think all sports owners are willing to do what it takes to win at all costs. And I think even some of the owners out there that are willing to do whatever to win at all costs aren't good at it and so won't win.
Yeah, that's very true. And then you've wasted whatever this is.
You wasted money and time and opportunity and all the things. James Dolan has been willing for years to win at all costs or whatever. He's just an idiot.
Yeah. That's why I asked. Specifically, if the Jazz win a title coming out of this 4 years, which has been one of the more difficult stretches in Jazz history, is it all worth it? Probably.
Will be forgotten about immediately. We had Mike Smith bring up the old Golden State team with Mitch Richmond and Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin and whatever. The Warriors, with one small exception, were Sucktown from that until Steph Curry. Do you think they give a crap about Sucktown? And that was 15 years. They don't even remember.
They've got 4 championships now. They've had, 5 or 6 finals appearances? Yeah.
The Patriots got what am I looking for here? Well, destroyed by the Bears in the 1985 or 86 or whatever Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
They were the fast town trip to Sucktown between that and the late 90s. So we're talking like 15 years.
Right.
Do you think Patriots fans even remember that?
No, I don't.
Or care? Or
No.
I don't either. The last Jazz rebuild, there was some pretty mediocre to bad basketball for a 4-year run. Very similar.
5 years, yeah.
Very similar. When in 2021, when they had the best record in the league, do you think anybody even cared?
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's first year.
Yeah,
Nobody cares after those 5
No.
years. We forget quickly.
So people creaming the Jazz saying, "Oh, I if they don't care, why do I?" I don't think they even believe that.
Yeah,
and as soon as the Jazz are back in the playoffs, they'll be back like, "Oh, this is pretty great." I mean, I've just seen it.
George, does a Raptors championship mean less than the careers of Karl Malone and John Stockton, who never got to the mountaintop?
And by the way, the Raptors totally sold their soul for that championship because they traded basically everything they had to get Kawhi Leonard for 1 year.
Oh, they traded their guy. DeMar was Toronto.
Yep.
DeMar DeRozan was tried and true Canada guy. You know, a star from USC who went up to Canada and really adopted the personality, and the fan base absolutely loved him. And they went the disloyal route, trading him for Kawhi, 1,000% the right move, win a championship, and you can never take that away from him.
And traded the next decade of successful basketball for it. Like, there's a reason that they sucked after and continue to suck.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, they're a mediocre Eastern Conference team.
So, was that worth it? I don't know. Would a Raptors fan tell you yes? Probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, would the Jazz, instead of making the playoffs for 20 years, would have rather had one championship and sucked for the other 19? I don't know.
But you're right. This is the difference between Ryan Smith, I think, right now, and what the Millers did, which is the Millers were not a win a championship at all cost owners. And that doesn't mean they weren't interested in winning a title. That's not what I'm saying in the slides. Of course they wanted to win a title. In fact, they got the closest anybody has in Utah with the basketball team.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy into that take, but we don't have the time to debate
Ryan is doing this right now. This 4-year run is specifically to set the Jazz up to win a title at all costs. That's what he's doing.
Well,
that's why they're going through this.
It's what Matt Ishbia did trading for Kevin Durant. I mean, it's one thing.
It's no guarantee it's going to work.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up right around the corner. It is a Wednesday, though, meaning it's a Win Ticket Wednesday. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. We're hooking you up with a pair of tickets to go see Stained, the Break the Cycle 25th Anniversary Tour, featuring Seether with special guests Hoobastank and Hinder at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater October 7th. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com or simply be the 12th caller right now, 801-575-ZONE. More next, Scotty G and Friends, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends. Nice. This is Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome into Scotty G and Friends, emphasis on the Friends. I'm Jake Hatch, sitting in for Scotty. He's on his way to San Diego. We'll be calling the Utah State-San Diego State game. You can hear tonight on 1280 a.m. It's going to be a late game, 9 o'clock. But let's get right out to the Zone phone. We're going to catch up with Cole Bagley, our Utah Mammoth insider for KSL Sports and KSLSports.com. Cole, how are you this afternoon?
Good. How are you, Jake?
Doing great. Does it feel like just yesterday we were watching the Mammoth play, but even though it's been 3 weeks off?
Feels like we're in a new season, to be honest.
It does, yeah.
It was kind of weird to be back at the facility today and be prepping for a game tonight. I haven't been to Delta Center for almost a month, and I've just been so ingrained in Olympic hockey. But it's a good thing, and we're coming down the final stretch here, so we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, okay, so I want to start there. There's 25 games to go by my math, and obviously they're sitting in a prime position. They're in the first wild card position in the playoffs currently. Give me a sense of, okay, it kind of feels like, kind of a new season. It's the stretch run here. Obviously, you got to keep the pace if you want to stay in the playoff hunt. Give me your sense just overall of how the team feels as they look forward to this final stretch run.
Yeah, I think they feel really confident. And this is, this is where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
Looking even with kind of the collapse of Winnipeg, everybody knew that the Central Division was going to continue to be a juggernaut with Dallas and with Minnesota and with Colorado. And so, being a top 3 team in this division was pretty much out of question before the season even started. But, the wild card spot was always going to be open, and Utah was always going to be a front runner to snatch one of those. And so, you look at what they've done over the last few seasons, the additions that they've made, the Nate Schmitz and the Ian Coles and the Kevin Stenlunds and the Mikhail Sergachev, those guys obviously have been brought in for their talent, but they've also been brought in for moments like this. Guys who know what it takes, to get into the playoffs, who know, that they need to. They need to be playing playoff hockey right now, and I think I would argue that that's what they've done over the last month or so. Is they've locked in, they've found a way to take their game to another level, and they feel confident that they can get in.
All right, so I know you're out of the practice facility, and they're facing the Colorado Avalanche tonight at the Delta Center. I'm very much looking forward to seeing them back on the ice. But you said, per Andre Tierney, the Mammoth will have a few game-time decisions. Who are those players, and what's the status that you're hearing?
Yeah, I would expect that we're going to see Keller and Cooley tonight. Yeah, that's not confirmed, but that's just, based on what we saw today at practice, looking at the lines. Keller was on that top line. Cooley was on the second. They both are playing on power play units. So those are not the two guys that I would really think are in question. I more so would lean towards, who's going to be on the fourth line tonight. Is Kerfoot fully ready to go again? And then Michael Carcone was missing today from practice, and then Jack McBain has been sick the last few days. And so I don't think it's a question of Keller or Cooley. I think it's more a question of, is McBain, is he feeling 100%? Is Carcone going to be considered tonight, even though he wasn't at morning skate, and is Alexander Kerfoot ready to go? So those are the ones that I would more so expect to be up in question. Of course, anything can change. We'll see what the lineup is about an hour before the puck drops. But yeah, those are the players that I would keep an eye on.
Now, Keller, just back off of obviously the gold medal and everything, he flew in last night. Do you think he'll be, I don't know, how to say this, jet lagged is probably the best term. Do you think he'll be slowed up?
I don't know. It's a good question. These guys are accustomed to crazy schedules,
yes.
right? These guys play back-to-backs where, they're flying from, one side of the country to the next, and, they get in at 4 a.m, and, they've got to play a game the next night. So, we talked to him today, and, he said, it's been a fun few days. It's been a crazy few days, but, he has not slept as well. I would expect he got a pretty good night's sleep last night. Ryan Smith made sure to bring him in to pick him up and get him back here early. So, we'll see exactly where he's at. I'm sure that there is some mental and physical lag, but, with a competitor like Keller and a guy who's been playing the NHL as long as he has, I don't know that it's going to weigh on him too much.
All right, we have been eagerly awaiting Logan Cooley's return to the lineup. He's one of those, I call him a talisman type of player, just one of those players that you need to have in your lineup. How excited should we be to see him back on the ice after such a significant period out?
Yeah, it's a massive upgrade for this roster, and a team. It's very exciting because this team was playing phenomenal hockey while he was sidelined, and that's not a knock to him at all, but it just speaks volumes as to the next man up mentality. And how many of these other guys stepped up and how well they were able to play. And so then to get a guy like Cooley, who is one of the brightest young stars in the National Hockey League, and a guy who's so versatile in his game, right? He's not just a shooter, he's not just a facilitator. He's a very well-rounded 200-foot player out on the ice who's going to come into the top six and who's going to play on the second power play unit. Yeah, it should lift this team. So Mammoth fans should be very excited. The team did what they had to do to stay alive going into the Olympic break, and now they're getting reinforcements. And what better reinforcement to get than a guy like Logan Cooley?
Yeah, and you also mentioned Alexander Kerfoot. He hasn't played a lot this year, but he is back. He's available, and you talk about reinforcements. It feels like they've got essentially all hands on deck. You mentioned there's a couple guys sick, Carcone, et cetera, but it feels like the roster is finally full, and it should lend itself to, I think, some better, I guess, not better lineups, but the best lineups you can put out there.
Yeah, at least for right now, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Lots of these guys are well rested too. Of course, a lot of teams are going to be that way. Most of the NHL has taken the last few weeks off, but yeah, this should be the most complete roster that we've seen this season, and hopefully it lasts through the end of the year. But yeah, it's exciting. And Kerfoot, he's not going to have as big of an impact as a guy like Cooley. Kerfoot's a guy that's going to play in the bottom six, but he's a critical depth piece with a lot of experience. He's played a lot of hockey in his career. He's very smart, and he can certainly boost a fourth line that if you were going to nitpick things that didn't necessarily go super well for the Mammoth those last few weeks leading up to the break. Their fourth line struggled. So, we'll see. Once he's back, how much can he help that line figure out their game.
Okay, obviously they're facing off against Colorado, who's one of the division leaders, one of the elite teams in the NHL. I'm just floored at this number, and I keep going back to it. Nathan MacKinnon has 40 goals and 53 assists for the Avalanche currently, and there's still 20-some-odd games to go. Just for context's sake, how good do you think this Colorado team really is?
Yeah, they're a cup favorite. And I would, probably about 3 or 4 weeks before the Olympic break, I would say, call it like they're going to win the cup. That's how good how good they are. That's how good they were. But they kind of fell off a little bit going in, and it's not like they really had any significant injuries. I mean, all their top players were playing. All their top players just went to the Olympics, and they've got Brock Nelson, who just won gold with Team USA, and of course McKinnon and Makar were playing for Canada. So yeah, I mean they're incredibly good. They're probably one of about 3 or 4 teams that should be considered heavy cup favorites. But the good thing for Utah is they match up so well against these guys. I don't really know why that is. But the few games that they've already played this season have all been decided by about a goal or maybe 2. I think there was one that an empty netter was scored for the Avalanche, so technically it was a 2-goal game. But all of them have been just a 1-goal, 1-shot type of game, and some Mammoth fans should have some confidence that Utah is going to put up another good fight.
Now, this is the final of the 4 games they'll play this season. Obviously, there is the potential that they could see each other in the playoffs, but this could be a stretch where there are 2 Central Division teams that don't see each other the rest of the season and kind of eyeing one another from a distance, it feels like.
Yeah. Looking at the playoffs, if I was Utah, I would want either Colorado or Vegas in the first round. And I know a lot of people would say, well, if they play Colorado, they're going to get killed. I don't know that they would. I mean, I don't know that they'd win that series, but I think the way that they match up with Colorado, the rivalry that's kind of starting to come about, the proximity, the amount of Utah fans that would travel out there, the number of Colorado fans that would come here, and then of course the Winter Classic that's next season. I think that's a series that I would like to see. Something that there could be some fireworks, and Utah I think could push Colorado to 6 or 7 games just based on the way that they match up and how hungry they are. And for a young team that wants to get playoff experience, who better than to play right out the gate, right? To learn what it takes to see if you can hang with these guys. And then, I wouldn't mind Vegas either. I think that's actually a series that Utah could win in the first round. And of course, proximity goes into that as well. There would be a lot of Vegas fans up here, and there would be a lot of Utah fans down there, and maybe more of a natural rivalry. So those are the 2 teams that I would like to see. A team I don't want to see Utah match up against is the Edmonton Oilers. I just don't think you want to run into Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in the first round. And historically in Utah's existence, I think they've only beaten that team once out of 3 or 4 meetings. So Colorado. Yeah, they're a good team. I think that they're a cup favorite, but I know the Mammoth are hungry to prove themselves.
All right, so the Mammoth have a quick 3-game homestand as they kind of restart things. Home to Colorado tonight, against Minnesota Friday, and then Sunday against Chicago. How important is it, Cole, to kind of get pull points out of all 3 of these matchups before you go on a lengthy road trip? I think it's 5 games after that you're out on the road for.
Yeah, I mean you got to get a minimum of 3 points over these next 3 games. I mean 4 would be would probably be the goal, and anything above that would be just gravy. And it's going to be tough. You got 2 of the best teams in the NHL. Utah's going to get their first look at the Minnesota Wild, post the Quinn Hughes trade, who has just made that team that much better. There's no night off in the National Hockey League, and Utah's going to have a gauntlet right out the gate, but it's good, right? I mean, it's going to give them an opportunity to prove who they really are and to prove if they're legit. And like I said, if they can come out of these, first 3 games with, a minimum of 3 points, and if you can get 4, that is wildly successful. And if somehow you pull a quick one on either Minnesota or Colorado, and then you take care of business against Chicago, that would be huge.
Cole Bagley, our Utah Mammoth insider for KSL Sports and KSLSports.com. I want to ask you real quick, Cole. So, two significant injuries that I was looking at coming out of the Olympics. One of them is your guy, Sidney Crosby. Obviously, they're saying 4 weeks he's going to go on IR for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But the one that I think strikes a little closer to home because they're in the same division as the Mammoth is Mikko Rantanen. So, where does the happy medium lie? Because these guys want to go play for their countries. There's zero doubt about that. They're putting their bodies on the line, but their clubs also got to be thinking, man, why'd you have to get yourself hurt?
Yeah, I think, the culture of hockey is, the guys, there's an understanding that these guys want to represent their country.
Yeah.
And there's no bigger stage. There's no greater honor. But that doesn't mean that general managers and coaches aren't holding their breath, right? I'm sure, every time that those guys take a shift, they're watching, and the number one thing they're watching for is, please don't get yourself hurt. I mean, for Utah, wildly successful Olympics, right? I mean, you had 4 Olympians, 3 of those guys, played games. Obviously, Vejmelka didn't, but, he got the Olympic experience. He rested for 2 weeks, which is a huge positive. I'm sure he would have preferred to be on the ice, but wasn't given the opportunity. And then for the other 3, I mean, Keller only played about 15 total minutes on the ice. And so, he got some experience. He won a gold medal, which is amazing. And, he also was able to be around, some of the best talent in the world. And then for Peterka and Lauri Markkanen, those guys both played solid minutes. And, Mata ended up coming home with a bronze medal. So for Utah, I don't think it could have gone any better. To be completely honest with you, to have a gold medalist and to have every guy come home healthy and be ready to go. But yeah, for teams, it's a risk that you got to take, but it's one that, you don't really have any other option. Those guys are going to go and play. They need to play. They belong there. I mean, that's some of the best hockey I've ever seen in my entire life. Not just the gold medal game, but the quarters, the semis, the final. NHL players belong there, and I'm sure that, I don't think that Crosby or Rantanen would take back, their participation. It's just something they got to live with, and at some point they'll be back.
All right, Cole, I'm not going to hold you to this, but 4 years from now, they're going to be back in the French Alps for the next Olympics. I assume that Clayton Keller's going to stay in the Team USA mix, but who else from the Mammoth roster, Logan Cooley or any other names that you think will absolutely be in the mix potentially to end up playing for Team USA when the next Olympics rolls around? Yeah,
I mean, I think for Team USA, we'll see where Keller will be at. I think he's 27 or 28 years old.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that Keller will necessarily be strongly in the mix. I'm sure he'll be considered. But I think Logan Cooley, I would almost guarantee he'll play on that team.
Okay.
I think he had a really good chance to play this year. I think his injury obviously played a factor in the fact that he wasn't able to make the team. But, just based on his trajectory, his talent, his hunger, I asked him about it the other day. We got to talk to him shortly about just the Olympics. And, I said, USA wins gold. Are you using that as motivation, to make that team? He said, absolutely. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to be on that team the next time that they play. So, I fully anticipate that Cooley will, not only have a really good shot, but I will be shocked if he's not on it. And I think an interesting year to look forward to is in Salt Lake City in 2034. I think Cooley will have a shot to be, in the leadership group of that team. So exciting stuff ahead, for Logan Cooley.
Okay, so remind me, Cooley is 22, correct?
I think he's 21.
21. Okay, so he'd be
just turned 21.
29, 30 potentially, and a hometown kid potentially playing in a hometown Olympics. That'd be phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he should be in the prime of his career at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like that 27, 28, 29-year-old range, that's when guys are generally playing their best hockey. So, look out for Cooley to be a major, player for the United States.
Okay, so the other guys, J.J. Peterka, Karel Vejmelka, also Lauri Markkanen, do you expect them to stay in their national team mix? And are there guys in the minor leagues? I think of the Tija Ginlas, the Maverick Lamoureux. Like, are we looking at a team, speaking of the Mammoth, that could have multiple representatives from multiple Olympics to come, I guess is probably the question to ask.
Yeah, I don't think Karel Vejmelka will make Czechia next time.
Okay.
Just based on it's 4 years away. I mean, not that he's super old or anything like that, but you start to get into your 30s. That's tough. I mean, he didn't get any playing time this go around, and there's some young check goalies that are very, very good. I mean, maybe 4 years from now or 8 years from now, Utah's prospect, Michael Rabel, is, potentially playing, vying for an Olympic spot. I think for Utah, there's going to be some serious contenders for spots on Team Canada, over these next 8 years. I fully anticipate Dylan Guenther to be a part of Team Canada next Olympics, probably, here in Salt Lake City as well in 2034. And then, guys like TJ Ginla, Cole Bagley, Caleb Denoyer, they're going to have really good opportunities as well to make Team Canada. And then, JJ Peterka should continue to be a staple for Team Germany. They're not overly talented. That's not a knock on Peterka's skill set or anything like that. But, just more opportunity. And then for Lauri Markkanen, that should be his last Olympics. I think he's 31 or 32 years old. So, being 35, 36 the next go-around, I wouldn't anticipate he would be on that team.
Well, it's exciting stuff because I think a lot of people were enthralled by what happened with the Olympics and obviously the way the Team USA won it, obviously epic fashion on that front. But Cole, thanks again for carving out some time to join us here. Looking forward to tonight and looking forward to watching how this all plays out. We've got essentially 25 games and hopefully a playoff runner in this Utah Mammoth squad. And we'll be tracking all your work, obviously, on KSLSports.com and obviously all the hits you do here on the station. So thanks again for carving out some time for us.
Thanks, Jake.
All right, there you go. Cole Bagley, big thank you to him for joining us. 25 games. And Mammoth sitting in a really, really good spot right now, but Cole already referenced it. You've got to come out of the gate strong here. And Lloyd, I just want to
That's why
ask,
it's important for for Keller and these guys that are coming back. Like,
you got to hit the ground running.
Got to get going.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, unfortunately, Keller didn't get a ton of time.
Yeah.
So there's probably a little bit of rest. But I'm sure there's a little bit of fatigue for travel and all that stuff. But it's time to get after it. Like 25 games. It's now or never. Like it's the race for the wild card is so tight.
Yeah.
That every point. I mean, every point. Obviously, when you start realizing the point system of the NHL and how it works, it's not like you have a game off and if somebody loses, you just gain some ground. No, you need the points.
Yeah.
You can't even going overtime with teams in the same conference or whatever. It's actually bad because they're getting a point.
Correct. Yeah, you split the points, and then
that's why wins are important.
Yeah.
Now if it's the other conference, then it's a point to point, but. Well, it's valuable,
and you're getting a shock to the system. Colorado and Minnesota back to back here right out of the chute. Like you're diving right.
And they've had success this year. They had that OT win, which was it was a game I was able to take the kids to and watch that OT win.
Yeah.
And I want to say they barely lost their other matchup they had with them, if I remember right.
Yeah, but these two, you're right into it. Like there's no easing back into the schedule. These are two of the best teams in your own division. And obviously, you gotta make some noise. All right, coming up next, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's some things going on. We'll talk to some BYU basketball in particular as part of that because it's pretty ugly in Provo last night. We'll get to that.
That could be bad and ugly.
Well, yeah, pretty much. We'll get to that next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
The good. Oh. Good. All right. Welcome back into Scotty G and Friends. Time for good, the bad, and the ugly. And Lloyd, the NCAA is putting some teeth behind transfers that join programs that don't go into the portal during the window. Now, this has not happened often, but it's happened a handful of times. There was the kid from Wisconsin who left Wisconsin and enrolled at Miami. That was last offseason. Caused the whole deal. Miami got sued by Wisconsin over this whole deal. This is very curious. And I'm interested to see if this actually holds up here. So, this has been proposed by the NCAA. It will have to be formally approved by the Division I cabinet. But here are the three things they're considering doing here, Lloyd. Number one, the head coach, if they take an athlete from a school that hasn't entered the portal, he just tries to circumvent it all, tries to enroll. The head coach will be prohibited from all football, speaking of recruiting and on-field coaching and administrative duties, team meetings, etc., for 6 games of the following season. So that's kind of the Jim Harbaugh thing where you're not allowed to do anything. Essentially, you are suspended for half the season. Number 2, school's going to be fined 20% of its football budget. Now, for some of these schools,
start losing some budget.
And
that might make you think twice.
And
maybe.
let's say 20% budget. I think what did Texas report last year was $170 million for Texas in their football budget. $34 million fine. That could hit you pretty good there.
I would imagine that'll make teams think twice.
Yeah.
Hypothetically. I would think so.
And now the final one is the school would then be required to reduce the number of roster spots, because it's currently now roster spots, it's not scholarships, by 5 for the next season, regardless of the head coach's employment status of the school. Because you'd think if a coach did this, you're probably going to whack him, but you're still losing 5 roster spots as well for a year.
There are so many things, so many guardrails, they're so far behind the 8 ball now that, I mean, it's just out of control. With everything, every part of NIL and the transfer portal, all of it is so far behind that it's like they're trying to now rein it in, and it's good luck.
Well, the thing is, the NCAA had an opportunity to, have the transfer portal and NIL and roll it out the right way, to actually have the guardrails in place. No, instead, they just kind of threw it out there and said, have at it, and are now trying to create those guardrails alongside it. And to your point, there's no putting that toothpaste back in the tube, because everybody's had the free reign. They've been able to throw money around, and I literally say throw money around because that's what they're doing. Look at Texas Tech, for example. And I don't fault Texas Tech. They're operating within the framework of the rules.
Oh, absolutely. They're doing whatever everybody else is doing. Yeah. I mean, they're doing football-wise, they're doing what BYU's doing for basketball for the most part.
Correct. Yeah. And
like they are getting their money's worth.
They definitely are. And so I appreciate the NCAA trying to put some teeth behind it now, but the problem was you had the opportunity to do it the right way initially, and you said, hey, have this, and we'll put it together. No.
Everybody was like, okay,
yeah, exactly.
I'll take it. Yeah. Thanks.
And now we
can now pay players legally, and they can transfer as much as they want for the most part. Like, thank you. This is awesome.
Yep.
For the haves.
Yeah, now the interesting part is I'm just thinking to bring this closer to home. Remember the Jake Retzloff situation last year? He unenrolled at BYU. He did not enter the transfer portal there was 2 windows last year. He didn't enter it during either one of those. But he unenrolled at BYU because obviously he was facing a suspension, then enrolled at Tulane. Would that situation then make Tulane, but put them in the crosshairs of the NCAA in theory? That's the question I have, because Jake, I think he did about as good as he possibly could do it in that circumstance. But the way this is kind of written, that would put Tulane right there in violation of this.
Absolutely.
So Jake Retzloff could have found himself out in the cold, or serving what was reportedly a 7-game suspension to play for BYU. All right, let's move along to the bad.
Now the bad.
All right, Cleveland. James Harden has apparently broken his thumb. Yet another injury.
Seriously? I'm telling you, he gets all the breaks. No pun intended.
Well,
pun intended.
Here's the thing. James Harden has been a guy that has had incredible success in his NBA career. There's just no doubt about it. But the only success that he hasn't had is in the postseason. Think about it, Lloyd. He's had injuries. He's had teams that just weren't good enough to do anything significant. And
he's like the modern day, I don't know, like a Tracy McGrady.
Tracy McGrady is probably a good poll there, because McGrady was incredible during the regular season.
One of the best.
Gets in the playoffs, though, and you're like, well, there is not much there. It's kind of a ghost town. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out for Cleveland, because obviously Donovan Mitchell, the connection he has to Utah, people pay attention, I think, a little closer to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They made this trade to bring James Harden in with the whole thought that he could hopefully get them over the top in a pretty weak Eastern Conference. But as has been reported here, he has apparently fractured the tip part of his thumb. Apparently there's 2 parts of it. And the report is that he is expected, if he doesn't have surgery, to miss 6.5 games, 17-ish days. The question for Cleveland is, if it extends any further than that, what are you looking at here? Because they've been on a roll since James Harden joined. I think they're 6-1 in their 7 games since he joined the team. So things have been going well, but if you're without him
they made this move with the point of taking him to the next step in the playoffs.
Yeah, they were.
That's now in jeopardy.
So it's like, and I think from the Donovan Mitchell side of things, he's like, really, another thing to another. I don't know, but the thing is, you look at it and say, man, James Harden, could you have worse luck in some ways than he's having with this. But I'll also say this.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Yeah, and he engineered this. Because, remember, L.A. was rolling. The Clippers, after a horrific start this season, were rolling. And then he went to the team and said, hey, can you guys move me to the deadline? I want to go try something different. So he made his bed. Now he and Cleveland have to lie in it. And we'll see where it goes. I'm very curious to see how long he ultimately is out. And as you point out, Lloyd, how much it affects them in the lead up to the playoffs. All right, let's get to the ugly.
And, of course, the ugly.
All right, it was plenty ugly in Provo last night for the BYU Cougars. I remember watching that game last night. I sat down, I'm like, all right, okay, they're 11.5-point favorites. We'll see how it all goes. Riley Kugel, who was the leading scorer for the UCF Knights, was unavailable to play for Johnny Dawkins' squad. But then, it started out with 3 straight fast break buckets for UCF. BYU's defense was... it's a no-show all night long. They trailed by as many as 36 points in this game, ultimately before falling by 13 points. But I'm telling you, 97-84 does not even tell half of the story of this game for the BYU basketball program. And I think the biggest thing to take away from this is after BYU picked up probably their win of the year on Saturday night, they upset number 6 Iowa State. They get a big win that essentially was their signature win for their chances of going to the NCAA tournament. Lloyd, they went out and put just their worst loss of the season on the line against UCF. It shows kind of the up and down nature of this BYU team.
we saw the good post Richie Saunders. We saw the good against Iowa State. And you're like, oh, okay, this is what this team's capable of. But then you saw, okay, this is also what this team is capable of. Very Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
I thought the Oklahoma State game was the low point for this team. Remember, they went to Oklahoma State, got absolutely boat raced, and you thought, okay, they learned their lesson. They can't afford to play as bad as they did defensively.
And the thing is, that one was on the road.
I know.
This one's at home.
Correct.
Your home crowd.
And I had a buddy of mine who texted me last night about this. He's like, he sent me a GIF. It was like, this is the absolute worst. It was the Michael Scott GIF. And I'm like, I get it, because you're down by 36 points at home, and UCF is a team that's fighting to get on the right side of the bubble. I think last night's win probably puts them safely inside the NCAA tournament field. But this is a team, BYU's now 7th place in the Big 12 Conference.
The way this season started, I would have never thought
Nobody
that was going to be the case. I didn't think they were going to go through this. I knew you knew they had flaws.
Sure.
Like this team has flaws. Yeah. Absolutely. UCF scored 97 points, nearly 100 points in 40 minutes of play.
And had they kept the hammer down, they would have gone over 100 easy.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
No problem. They're obviously, all of a sudden they're looking at a team that could make a run to where they could easily be out in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
What I feel like from this BYU squad is Saturday against Iowa State showed that BYU is very capable of beating quite literally anybody when they're on their game. But what happened last night against UCF shows just as likely, they can lose to anybody. And that is what I think has a lot of BYU fans upset. Is you would have thought they would have carried some momentum over from the Iowa State game. Riley Kugel, who leads a pretty balanced lineup for UCF, their leading scorer, he wasn't playing last night. You would have thought, okay, we got this one in the bag. And the odds makers thought you had it. I think the game time, the line went up to 14 points. But you get beat by 13? 27-point swing if you want to go by the betting parlance and everything out there. The Skittles.
Where'd you have your money?
I don't.
Patch?
I don't put. I put Skittles down on.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
No,
all right.
No, but the thing is, it shows just you mentioned Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's what this BYU team is. They are just as capable of getting bounced in the first round as they are maybe making a run to the Elite Eight, Lloyd. And I don't even know what to expect from them at this point.
I still don't quite understand. I mean, I understand they have holes. It's just. It is crazy for as much talent, and the thing is, they're asking so much of AJ. Yeah, absolutely, they are. I mean, he's have to play dang near full. He's going to have to play full games. Of course, you're going to lose something on the defensive side of the ball.
Correct. Yeah.
You're going to lose some of the guys that have to go both. An entire game. You're going to lose that on the defensive side. They're going to need to take some breathers while on the court.
And that therein lies the problem. They have fatal flaws with the perimeter defense and their interior presence offensively in terms of the big men. They need a Foose. They need a Fousseyni Traore. Remember, he was a walking bucket. When you needed to throw it into the low block, you gave it to Foose, and he would find a way to put the ball in the basket. They don't have that, and it does not look good for the BYU Cougars at this point. All right, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully BYU rebounds because they've got 2 games on the road upcoming. At West Virginia on Saturday afternoon. They followed up with a road trip to Cincinnati. They played the way they did against UCF. Are we looking at a losing streak?
They already had one.
Yeah, so we'll see how it all goes. All right, we'll come back on the other side. More in a moment right here. Scotty G and Friends right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to Scotty G and Friends here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Jake Hatch, sitting in for Scotty G. He'll be on the call tonight of Utah State and San Diego State. 9 p.m. tip down there at Viejas Arena. And this one...
Fingers crossed, Hatch.
What?
I don't know. I'm hoping he'll get there in time to make
okay,
the call.
Fair. He's had his...
he's had some delays.
He's had the travel day from hell. Let's put it that way.
Yes, he has, starting yesterday.
Yes, so hopefully he does get there. But this game tonight, Aggies and Aztecs essentially going to be MWC champion, whoever wins this one.
Where's Ajay? We might even need Ajay on the call.
Where is Ajay?
Ajay, where are you at? Hopefully you're traveling with the team.
I wanted to quote a famous quote from the sideline all those years ago.
Where's what, Wright Waters?
Where's no, it's just
okay.
It's cold down here. I was dying. I remember listening to that live. I'm like, Ajay.
If there's anybody that's up to the task, it's our guy Ajay.
Yeah, Ajay's got it.
As he calls the Aggies ladies game. So
yes, he does. He does do a fine job with those. All right, so report out, Lloyd, that remember how the Utah Jazz were fined for affecting the integrity of the game when it comes to the NBA. Report that Lauri Markkanen has an injured hamstring. Is this really what we want? Like, is this?
I don't know what you're talking about, Jake. I hope it's not serious.
Well, just
what are you saying?
The dog and pony show that is going on with the NBA right now, and I got to echo something that Jake and Ben have said on their show, is that if Adam Silver wants to dictate how teams go about the rotations and the like, essentially playing direct teams on their playing time, it's a very slippery slope.
That it is. That's opening a whole other can of worms that I don't know if Adam Silver wants to do.
Well, and that's what he's opened here. And now we've heard, and it's nothing against Utah Jazz. Yusuf Nurkic is having surgery on his nose. He's got apparently a deviated septum. It's something when he fractured it years ago. He's struggled with it since then. Okay, he's shut down. The Vince Williams one, okay, it's a cheap shot. So be it.
And the Yusuf Nurkic, the truth, like,
yeah.
The thing is, how everybody's like, well, it's just a nose.
No.
Like, yeah, but if you're running nonstop, like trying to breathe, that's not really an easy thing. So you got to get that taken care of.
One of the best players on my high school team, I don't say we were world beaters, but found out midway through our junior year, he had a deviated septum. He struggled for years playing football because he's like, guys, I just can't breathe when I'm running. He got it fixed.
It's a serious situation.
He got it fixed, and he was a whole new person. And that's just one example. So the point I'm trying to make here is, okay, Lauri Markkanen, hamstring injuries, what the report is out there. And if he's out for any significant period of time, guess what? That is going to increase the Jazz's odds of holding on to this pick. But therefore, the Jazz are now playing by the quote-unquote rules that are being set forth by the NBA. But Adam Silver is also claiming he wants to change these rules when it comes to tanking. I just think they've completely bungled this whole thing.
Well, and Scotty has talked about this many times where they're going to make some changes.
Sure.
And next year, the
Jazz
not
don't
a lot of people are going to, as of right now, there's not the depth coming in that'll be in that draft class is not great. So not a lot of teams are going to tank. This year, absolutely. Yeah. It's a very deep class. Yeah. So that makes sense. And next year, you're not as many people. And be like, well, here you go. See? It worked. Everything we've implemented has worked. See? No more tanking for the most part.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about this is the Jazz have taken, I guess, the poster child of NBA tanking this season because of the fine they incurred. And I know that Rick Carlisle spoke out on it yesterday for the $100,000 fine that Indiana also incurred. And he claimed that they didn't talk to any doctors or team members. The thing is, this time next year, we're all expecting the Jazz to be in the middle of the playoff hunt, Lloyd. Like,
absolutely.
This is not like the Jazz don't care.
No, they need that protected pick.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're all about They're all about the playoffs. Do you think the Jazz want their? No, they've never been about not being in the playoffs. There is bad ownership. It has not been ever the Millers or
SEG.
Ryan Smith or SEG.
Yeah.
It is never that. That is not what they're about. They want to bring a championship to Salt Lake City. They want to bring a championship to Utah. That's what they want to do. And if you think they're just like, no, that is good ownership right there.
Yeah, like they went down to the bottom because they realized that that's the way to do it. They've made the trades. They
had to reset. Things didn't work out with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. They had a little window there. They weren't able to get it done.
Yeah,
and they had to reset. And they haven't had to do it very much. They haven't had to be in this position.
It's been reset.
Yes.
And now, so all you mentioned the changes that are coming. Nobody's really want to tank next year because the 2027 class.
And we talk about all these teams that have tanked, and it's like there are serial tankers. There are serial tankers, and it's not the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
So, this whole thing with Adam Silver really did. It was upsetting. He's like, really?
Yeah.
Because the Jazz. So they went about it a different way, and the bottom line was it came down to gambling companies. That's what it came down to. It impacted. Lauri Markkanen's playing. Okay, that's going to change the odds. Oh, he's out. All of a sudden, that changes the outcome of a game.
Sure.
Didn't against Miami, but whatever. But so that's what it comes down to. That's what it came down to. That it upset gambling companies, and here we are. And they made an example out of the Jazz. Tony Jones, by the way, just had a piece that he wrote about this. I haven't finished reading it with The Athletic. Yeah. He's got a piece on this exact thing. Like the Jazz have done it. They went about it the right. They're going about it the right way. They're doing what's best for them.
And well, here's the thing. I think it was Brian Windhorst was on ESPN today. His tune has changed. He's like, I'm not going to blame anybody for tanking at this point. It's like, well, hold on, not even 2 weeks ago, like 10 days ago, you were part of the contingent that was ripping into the Jazz saying they're affecting the integrity of the game. That was the Bobby Marks quote. But it's like, guys, understand that the Jazz, they're the least of your worries.
All of their tunes have changed.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. Yeah. For the most part, their tunes have changed.
Implement all your rules, all your anti-tanking measures. And the best part is the Utah Jazz.
Enjoy it for a year because it's going to look like it worked for a year, maybe two. I don't know
whenever next
down the line. We'll see how it goes. But when you have a deep class, let's really see how those rules play out. Let's see how they work.
And the hope is the Utah Jazz are nowhere near having to deal with any of that for the foreseeable future.
And they shouldn't be.
Correct.
Yeah. They shouldn't be for the foreseeable future.
They should be set.
Because they are set up to start winning.
Yeah.
And that should, by the way, that should have Jazz fans stoked about the future.
Hey, you should be, because looking like next year that this is a team that very clearly is going to push for, at worst, play-in territory. Not,
I'd say better. I think it's better than play-in territory, and then you have to see. I mean, it could be even better. I think as of right now, I would say it's better than play-in territory, and let's see what they do in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we'll see how it all plays out. All right, coming up next, we're going to go back to the Mammoth. They are in action tonight, resuming the regular season after a 3-week break for the Olympics. We're going to hear from Andre Tierney as well as some Mammoth players ahead of tonight's game. They spoke at Morning Skate earlier this morning. We'll get to that next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Scotty G and Friends here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Jake Hatch sitting in for Scotty G. All right, Utah Mammoth back in action tonight at the Delta Center. The Colorado Avalanche are in town. 25 games to go in the regular season. Obviously, the Mammoth looking to make the playoffs this year and looking like they're in prime position to do just that, sitting in the first wild card slot currently when it comes to the Western Conference. They have got maybe the most competitive division in the NHL, speaking of the Central Division, and they got a major opportunity on their hands here. And obviously coming off this Olympic break, Clayton Keller, fresh off winning a gold medal with Team USA, he sat down with the media, or he at least stepped to the podium today to address the media at Morning Skate, talking obviously about his experience over in Milan in the Olympics, but more importantly, as the Mammoth get back on the ice tonight, looking to make that stretch run and make it a successful one. Here's Clayton Keller from earlier today.
Welcome back and congratulations. An Olympic gold medal with Team USA. What are your favorite memories and what did you learn participating at the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, it was such an incredible experience. So thankful to be a part of that team. Those are memories that'll last a lifetime, and just such a great group of, coaches and the players. Like, I learned so much being around those guys, and, just how everyone was so bought in, and, those are things that, will help me down the road, and just super thankful, like, to be a part of it and to win.
What were the last few days like?
Not much sleep, that's for sure. But, super fun. Like, how much support, like, in Miami was crazy. We were all kind of shocked at, just how much, people cared and, were supporting us. Like, it was, something I'll never forget for sure.
There was a photo of you and your mom and your brother, and your mom's wearing the gold medal. Can you just explain what having your family there was like for you, obviously through the process, but also who else was there to support you in person? Yeah,
it was great. She's, a main reason of why I'm where I'm at today, and, all those sacrifices, my brother as well, like, they've all done so much for me, and I'm so thankful and blessed to have them there. And one of my great friends from growing up came with and kind of hung out with my family the whole time, got to spend some time with him and, connect more. So it was just an unbelievable experience, and, all those people mean the world to me.
When you look back on this experience decades from now, what are the things that'll stand out the most when you remember it?
Oh man, I think so many things, but I think like the brotherhood of that team, and like how we did everything together. Like, it seemed like in the village, everyone's door was always open. Like, just it had that feeling about the team, and it was something that you want to be a part of, and you want to win with a group like that, because, that's something that, will last a lifetime. I'm sure we'll have, reunions and get-togethers and lots of parties from it. So, super, super cool.
What do you think young Keller would think about being on the first USA team to win gold in 46 years?
I don't know. It's a good question. Like, I've always dreamed big and expected big things out of myself. So, to see some of them come true is super special, and like writing everything down at a young kid paid off, and it's super cool, and I'm still more motivated than ever, and it's you enjoy it, and then you want to do it again, you want to win, you want to be a part of a winning team, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Your members of that 1980 team kind of obviously rally around. They were at the Olympics, whatnot. Did any of them have message of congratulations or words of advice or wisdom to you guys as a group? Yeah, I mean, Mikey Ruzioni was down there. We saw him actually the night before the gold medal game, and I had known him a little bit previously, just with the BU connection. But, he kind of talked to us a little bit after dinner, and shared some of his experiences and things like that. Wished us, so much luck, and super cool to have support from a guy like that, and a guy that had won before at the biggest stage, and so it was super cool.
You're jumping right back into the season, playing at Colorado tonight. With these games against the Avalanche and the Mammoth, it's only been 1 goal differentials in each one of the 3. What has allowed these games to be so close, and what does your team need to do to get the win?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're one of the top teams in the league, and, they're hard to play against, but I think so are we, and they're always, fun games to be a part of. It's, back and forth, and like you said, maybe 1 goal here and there. So I'm looking forward to tonight and being back at the Delta.
What was it like coming back here with your teammates, getting back out there with them?
Yeah, it was great. Great to see everyone. It's, a long time away. Miss the boys, and it's great to be back, and they all said congratulations, and we're super happy for me, so it definitely means a lot.
Does Jack Hughes smile better with or without teeth?
I think without right now, for sure. I'd ride that for a while.
Sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
How much of a sense of patriotism just was there amongst the guys after you won?
Yeah, so much, and I think that's shows why USA Hockey is, the best. And, we're so, thankful to represent your country, and just like, especially his interview was amazing for, a guy that's 24 years old. Like, that's pretty good. And he's such a great kid and someone that's fun to be around, and has always been a good friend of mine since I met him, when he first came into the league. Like, super special human.
With wins for USA Hockey on both the men's and women's side, what does that do for young kids that are, looking for inspiration growing up?
Yeah, I think it inspires the next wave of hockey players. Maybe kids that don't play hockey might get into it now. And I remember all the memories of watching it as a kid. Looking up to those guys. Obviously the TJ Oshie moment is pretty cool. Watching Miracle, like to have something like recently is amazing, and it's going to do so many good things, and it's special for sure. And like I said, thankful to be a part of it.
Clayton, you've been a USA Hockey lifer since you were 16. When you think back about all the times you've worn the red, white, and blue, what are you most proud of?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think so many things, but I've been lucky to win a couple: U18, U20, Men's Worlds, Olympics. I think me and Tage are one of the first two to do that. So that's super cool. And just like you remember the guys, the relationships you build, representing your country. Like we all love it so much, and I think it really shows.
Has it sunk in what it really meant to everyone else in the nation as well?
Maybe not fully. I mean, getting to Miami and then obviously the party that night, like it was crazy, and we did like a parade around, like a smaller parade around Miami, and like people were kind of going crazy in restaurants. At our hotel, there was 200 people lined up when we were walking out, like just chanting USA. So it was pretty cool.
How was DC?
DC was great. Yeah, it was cool to see the White House, and that's maybe once in a lifetime thing. So it was great to do that, and yeah.
Kels, the intensity of those games in Milan, does that make you even more excited for potentially playoff hockey here in Salt Lake City?
Yeah, for sure. I think those, like I said, those are the most fun games when the pressure's on the line, and so many guys stepped up. Like it's cool to share that experience with them, and the more you go through it, the more I guess comfortable you are, and more confidence that you have in those games.
Do they feel a lot different than NHL games?
Yes, I think so, for sure. I think they felt super fast. I think like every shift was high intensity, and kind of both teams doing whatever it takes really. So I think that's one thing I'll say for sure.
Thanks, Kels.
Thank you.
There you go, Clayton Keller. And Lloyd, we have a new name for the home of the Mammoth. Just coined by Clayton there. I don't know if anybody ever heard that. Have you ever heard of them calling it the Delta?
The Delta. I love going to the Delta. I'm going to the Delta tonight.
The Delta. Are you really going to the game?
Yes.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah, we're having a boys' night out.
Nice. But I love the fact that he got that experience, because he talks about the fact that he's going to be connected with these guys forever. Because I'll admit, Sunday night, so my son, I don't know how he came across. He came across the scene in the movie Miracle of them obviously celebrating the win over the USSR, the Soviet Socialist Republic. He's like, "Hey, Dad, can we watch that?" I'm like, "Say no more." So we turned on Miracle on Sunday night and watched it, and we got done. He's like, "Yeah, that was that." And
we did the same thing maybe a week before.
Okay,
probably about a week before. I think it was not Sunday, but the previous weekend.
Yeah.
We watched. I said, "You know what? I hadn't even thought about it. My boys love sports.
Uh-huh.
My boys love sports movies.
Sure.
And I hadn't even thought about Miracle. We had been watching some of these hockey games, and I'm like, you know what? Let's watch it. What do you say? Let's watch a little Miracle."
And, well, I'll just say this. So we watched that, and then obviously they go out there Sunday and win the gold medal. And it was really cool because my son, I freely admit, I'm a football and basketball guy because those are the sports I grew up with. Golf also a little bit. Like, those are the sports I grew up with. Hockey was not part of my life growing up, and I'm still very much learning this sport. But I always knew about the 1980 Miracle team. Like, everybody knows that. And obviously it has the connection with the 2002 Olympics because they had the team light the cauldron over at Rice Eccles Stadium. But my son is really starting to, like, hockey's kind of his thing. He turns on the Mammoth. I don't have to be home, and he's watching that.
I have boys that are chomping at the bit about hockey. about doing something hockey, getting involved with something hockey, which there are more and more. I know Scotty and I were talking about it yesterday. There are more and more programs that are, and there's going to be more to come to get the youth involved with hockey, and like they're chopping. They like that's what they want to do. So that's what they want to play hockey.
Sunday, he wasn't up to see the overtime. He was still sleeping when it all went down, and he saw the highlight later of them scoring in overtime. He's like, "Dad, it's a miracle!" Like they did the same thing. I'm like, "Yeah." They did the exact same thing, and he was floored at it. And that's the cool thing about what Clayton Keller can have this connection forever with.
Absolutely.
There's only 3 U.S.
You got
teams.
a little bit of time,
yeah.
But it's always, I mean, that camaraderie that he talked about, that being a part of that moment. I mean, they hadn't won since 1980. Like being that part of history is something that is special, and now that he's a part of that history, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I love the fact that he got that experience, and obviously he's going to hopefully parlay that experience into a strong restart, I guess, of the season here. But let's catch up with his head coach, Andre Tierney, head coach of the Utah Mammoth. Obviously, they've had some significant time off. They essentially treated this week plus they've been practicing as a miniature training camp, and then all the stories coming out of it were that they were trying new lineups, just trying to get guys to figure things out. But now it's go time. So here's Andre Tierney's thoughts as they get ready to face off against the Avalanche tonight.
There we go. Back to work, eh? That's good. We have a few game time decision. We'll see what the afternoon brings. So lineup is not set yet. So.
What are some of the things this team needs to focus on and be mindful of in their first game in 3 weeks?
Yeah, for us, I think there's a mix here, and it's important to not cross the line of, okay, we play a really good team and they have stuff we need to be careful, but at the same time, we need to play our game. So it's more about playing our game, get back to our identity, our pace defensively, being aggressive, being confident, and all that. So it's important we don't just focus on them. It's not like when you're rolling and, okay, now you can be a little bit more specific. At this point, I think we need to make sure we play our A game.
When it comes to this series, 3 games, all decided by one goal. What has led to these tight battles between the Mammoth and the Avalanche? Yeah,
I think we have the speed to play with them. It's an extremely fast team. Really talented, all of it. It's well documented, but I think we played good games so far against them, and that's just 4 years now where we can compete. We play good defense. It's a team who generates a ton of offense. So if you play good defense, you give yourself a chance. So. Like I said, we need to get back at our A game and focusing on that, and we know exactly the key point against them.
Noticed Carconia wasn't out there today. Is maintenance or something?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we went through the list the other day of Colorado Avalanche players at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Do you think that will affect them positively or negatively in a game like this?
I don't know.
Jet lag and fatigue.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's
all that. If I knew the answer, I guess I would be easy, but I don't know that. They will have a boost, get back with their friends, get back with their team. The same thing for Kels, for us, for JJ, and all those guys who were at the Olympics. They come back, they're excited. Okay, great. But will it be a positive and negative? We'll have the answer soon.
You mentioned Keller coming back. What was it like getting him back with the team on the ice?
No, that was good to see you smile and talk to him a little bit before and his experience, and didn't go too much in depth because it's game day. But like I told him, I want to pick his brain. There's a ton of things when you do those tournaments, and that's what he shared with me. You learn a ton. I often make the joke, it's university on steroid. That's what it is, because you learn from the teammate who's with you. You learn from the coach who's teaching you things. You learn from the competition. You learn a ton of things. A new language you didn't hear, a new trick on the ice, a new skill, a new system phase. You learn a ton. Every time I had the opportunity to do a short-term tournament, you coach with elite coach. And so you learn from those guys, and those guys teach the player. They bring a lot on the table, and same thing for the player. You have the opponent's coach guy who won Stanley Cup or been really successful, played 1,000 game in the league. Those guys, they know their stuff, so they share a lot of information. We're all in the common goal, so now it's a lot of information sharing, so you learn a ton. So talked to Oli on the ice this morning, talked to JJ, Veg, Cal's this morning. It's a lot of new information, and it's pretty cool.
Just the fact that you've had a little over a week and a half to kind of work on all the little details that you want to work on after the break. What have you liked about this last week in terms of the focus and the elements that you're looking to kind of elevate the rest of the way?
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to another coach in the league yesterday, and it's an experienced coach. There's no book for that kind of a break. There's no blueprint. We've never been in the break that long, halfway in the season. So we think we did good. I think the guys did work hard and everything. But at the end of the day, we'll have our answer tonight, and it'll be the same across the league. I think I'm sure 32 teams tried to do their best to be as prepared. We're really confident in what we did. We're confident in our guys having the right focus.
17-8-2 on home ice this year.
Okay.
14 home games left, and 5 of the last 6 games this season are at home. I know you're living in the day-to-day, but why does this team excel on home ice?
Well, that's a good question. It's probably not one reason. I think matchup help. I think our crowd help a lot. I will assume there were a stretch of the season where the schedule was not in our favor in terms of was really, really condensed. We were on the road, so that did not help. When we were at home, we had a better schedule. So it can be a lot of factor. At the end of the day, what I want to believe is we have that pride to play at home, and our crowd make it a big difference. And I think we understood after the break, Christmas break, how important it was for us to have a great month and to put us in the position we wanted to be at the Olympic break. We are. Now we need to keep going. The next step is probably the trade deadline, and then it will be the end of the season. So there's always a new objective. As soon you touch one, you move on to the next one, and it's a race. It's 82 games. We had a hell of a break. I'm sure everywhere around the league we'll have a lot of a healthy team. It will be a great competition until the end.
Andre, there's a lot of levels of growth in players, I would imagine, in terms of over the career.
Yep.
Clayton just got back from an unbelievable experience. How do you want to see him carry all of that goodness from Milan and just continue to grow as a leader with this group?
Well, I think he did. I said that before. I think he does a really good job as a leader. His compete level, his desire to be better every day, it's driving force in our team, and that's really important because, like I just mentioned, 82 games, you can get on the cruise control and you can get just comfortable and just go through the motion. And that kind of a guy, that kind of a leader gets you out of that. Because for him, there's no comfort zone. There's always, he wants the next gear. He wants the next level all the time, and he always strives to get better. And first thing he told me when I talked to him this morning, it's how much he learned out there, and that was his first thing. He could have talked to me about plenty of things, the Olympic experience of the gold medal or so on and so forth. And he talked to me about how much he learned and how much he's excited to apply that teaching and that learning into his game and everything. So that is what he brings to our team. He's never satisfied. He always wants more, and he dragged the team into that mode. Thanks, everyone.
There's the guy they call the Bear, Andre Tierney, the head coach of the Utah
Bear.
Mammoth.
You got to be a tough SOB to be a Bear.
Well, you can kind of tell he's a guy that, as I understand it, he is very much a player's coach, but he also is a guy you don't cross. And I think there's a respect factor there, and he's got his team in prime position right now for a stretch run that should be very exciting. The one thing I'm looking forward to here, Lloyd, is obviously the Utah Jazz. We know that they're not gunning for the playoffs. That's next season. But the nice part is if things hold for the Mammoth here, we're going to have playoff hockey this spring, which obviously we were hoping they might be able to accomplish last year. Came a little bit short of that. So we get playoff hockey this year. And then, in theory, next year, if everything goes according to plan with the Utah Jazz and the Mammoth, playoff Central here in Salt Lake City.
April, if we're looking at how it's shaping up for next year, like April next year is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. But yes, you're right. We're talking right now, the Mammoth are sitting in the wild card spot, 1 point better than the Ducks. Yeah, 1 point better than the Ducks.
Yep, Anaheim.
Hold on to that one as far as that top wild card spot. And that it's wild card for them. Yeah. They are 13 points back behind Dallas. Like, there's no way they're catching anybody in the Central. Yeah, that Central is so good.
The top 3 teams in the West are the 3 Central Division top teams.
Yeah. Avalanche being one of them. Yeah. And that is why, I mean, we talked about it earlier. That's why these points are so valuable. I just hope that we don't look, I don't even hardly want to put it out into the universe, but I don't want the Mammoth to look back and be like, man, if we would have gotten this one and that one. Yeah. We're looking at that game where they gave up 3 goals in, on that East Coast triple. Was that Carolina? Who was that?
Oh.
Why am I going blank on who it was? It was
that you are right.
It was Carolina, right?
Yeah.
It was against Carolina.
Yep.
That game where they had it. I mean, it was 4-2, and you're thinking, okay. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're not even going to get a point.
It's 5-4.
And that point. And we talked about those points are valuable in this, in the season. They are so valuable to get because as we talked about, you don't get those points, when you're just sitting idle. You have to play games to get points. And that's actually, by the way, is really pretty cool about the NHL. It's not like that. You can't. No. You have to earn it. You have to earn that trip to the Stanley Cup playoffs. You don't get to luck your way into it and have a bunch of people behind you lose and fall into it. No, you have to really earn those points to get there.
Yeah, and the thing is, this league, and speaking of Andre Tierney, he referred to it. It's 32 teams. They're going for it now, and he doesn't expect anybody to yield an inch, nor should they, because the playoff structure as it's constituted, it does reward you if you get on a hot run here, and there's enough time for teams to make up some ground. And you and I referenced it earlier on in today's show. The point structure in the NHL, man, you can go up and down real quick.
It would be nice to see the Mammoth go on like a St. Louis Blues type run like they went on last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that run was so insane. I mean, the Mammoth were right there with the Blues, and they blew right by them.
That's what prevented the Mammoth from getting to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, maybe they had a hot streak going in before the Olympic break with, only those 2 losses that they had on that East Coast trip to Carolina, and I don't remember what the other one was, but where they ended up suffering 2 losses.
Yeah.
But it still was a hot streak. They came back and they righted the ship and got a win before the Olympic break. And the big question is, and I know Bill Armstrong, who joins, Scott Gerard every Tuesday, talked about it like, I got a little bit sleep. I'm hoping they come back and we picked up right where we left off. Had some sleepless nights.
Correct.
Because they had some momentum, and you don't want to lose that momentum.
You don't. And in some ways, that 3-week break, you were like, "This is a bad time for them to take that break." They were
totally
rolling.
It was a bad time.
But now you got to restart, and you just got to you focus on the here and now, and that's obviously.
And that's by the way, that's what good teams do. You're able to restart it and kick it back up.
Correct.
Like, it doesn't really matter. And I feel like it feels like the Mammoth have taken that next step where they're not a top team, but they're right there. They're learning how to win games. They're learning how to, when they have a lead, they're learning how to protect the lead. Well, I say that after we got to talk about that Carolina game, but for the most part,
by and
they
large,
really have learned to close out games. They've done a good job with doing that.
And you have your superstar center coming back, and Logan Cooley, Alexander Kerfoot's back. Reinforcements are here, so we'll see how it all goes.
They're fairly healthy.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. All right, coming up next, we're going to spin the wheel, sports roulette, and some stories out there involving Big 12 teams that we need to hit on. So we'll get to that next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Friends on the KSL Sports Zone. I'm glad you.
I like it.
I'm glad you.
I like
that.
it.
Has our boy heard it yet? Is Scotty aware of it?
I don't know. I think he just landed, so maybe he's listening. Possibly.
That's
maybe
awesome.
he's not.
Well done. Obviously,
I do it anyways. Doesn't matter whether he's listening or not.
Very good point. Welcome back. I'm Jake Hatch, sitting in for Scotty G. He is en route to San Diego. Obviously, Utah State, San Diego State tonight down there at Viejas Arena. Essentially, the MWC Mountain West Conference Championship on the line tonight between those two. Be a 9 o'clock tip-off. That'll be an 8:30 pregame on 1280 a.m. Obviously, it'll be finishing up on both signals once the Mammoth game wraps up on 97.5. All right, Lloyd, we got a handful of things we want to hit on. Okay, so I know you're a big baseball guy. You're a Giants fan. I'm a Mariners fan. But there's another team on the West Coast that's got a very strong fan base, and that's the Los Angeles Angels.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that's the Mariners. I think you're going to bring up the Mariners. I thought this was going to be your shameless plug for your team, the Seattle Mariners.
The runners-up in the World Series.
Shoulda.
No, just kidding.
Coulda.
I know. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. But anyways, we'll see what the M's do. But one of their division rivals, Los Angeles Angels, Lauri Markkanen. Obviously, he's owned the team for a long time. He does have a World Series title from very early on in his tenure of owning the team, but it's been lackluster at best is probably the kindest thing to say. Did you see this quote from him this week about fans? Oh, this is good. You're gonna. All right, so this comes from the OC Register. Quote. This is what Lauri
PK's old gig, right? Wasn't he with the OC Register at one point? No. Maybe not.
That's Southern California News Group.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
I couldn't remember.
So here's the thing. Lauri Markkanen of the Angels said this, quote, "The number one thing that fans want is affordability. They want affordability. They want safety, and they want a good experience when they come to the ballpark. Believe it or not, this is the kicker, winning is not in their top 5, unquote."
Wait, say that again. Well,
so
read that again.
This is what Lauri Markkanen, the Los Angeles Angels owner, this is what he believes that fans want. The number one thing that fans want is affordability. I agree with him on that. Affordability is a big deal when it comes to going to sporting events in this day and age, obviously. He has the second time. They want affordability, they want safety, and they want a good experience when they come to the ballpark. Then, this kicker, believe it or not, winning is not in their top 5, unquote.
Huh. That's interesting.
You're telling fans that winning doesn't matter, Artie?
Okay.
Whew. Well, yeah. So my in-laws are from Southern California, Orange County. Let's get Scotty's thought. Is Scotty here? We got him. Okay, Scott Gerard.
We have one of the friends of the show.
We got one of the friends of the show. He also might be the host of the show from time to time. Scotty G checking in. He's a friend of the show. Scotty, what's up?
I feel like I've earned that.
You have.
Well, actually, no. Delta's earned that.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I'm gonna. No, Lloyd. Like. Okay. You know, I know that I'm already on Lloyd's bad side when I didn't even get a have a blessed day. It just went silent for a good chunk of the day.
You didn't get blessed. Have a blessed day. Wow.
No. I think
have to earn have a blessed day.
I think I'm a little. I think I'm a little further down the line than that.
You don't even get a blessed day.
Oh, jeez.
That is way down.
Wow, silence treatment. Oh, that's okay. Scott.
No, hey, busy. I'm planning a show.
So, Scotty, you're down there in San Diego, obviously in Southern California. Did you hear the quote I just read from Lauri Markkanen?
And that's the Angels owner?
Yeah, it's the Angels owner. Lauri Markkanen's owned the team for 25 some odd years, if not more than that.
Yeah.
He's considered selling the team at different points in recent years. My in-laws were season ticket holders for the Angels for years when they lived down in Southern California, and they're still proud Angels fans. I'm telling you right now, I could send a text to my father-in-law, and he would respond with probably a string of expletives about that quote.
Well, yeah, I think that there's some teams. I mean, when you've had the talent that have gone through that organization and really, I mean, you guys know baseball better than I. How much effort was made to retain the big guns that have gone through there?
Well, Shohei essentially put the writing on the wall. That
he walked.
Yeah, I'm going to go about how far away is Chavez Ravine from the Angels Stadium? Like 20 miles, maybe?
Yeah, I've got to get my buddy paid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good point.
Oh, yeah. So you got gambling debts to pay.
Really, the one guy he's held on to is Mike Trout. And I am floored that Mike Trout has been willing to watch what could be a Hall of Fame career have like zero postseason success. And
well, I think I mean, I think you're looking at essentially there's been a lot of NBA teams that have ran that way. I mean,
Fair.
when Sterling was running the Clippers,
Yes.
he didn't really care about wins or losses. It was a moneymaker for him, and that's all that really mattered. And I think it would actually really surprise a lot of people if they knew how little winning actually mattered to a lot of owners out there. They want a profit center, and they want to turn a profit. The fact that he's as vocal as this, that's not great.
Yeah,
but honestly, it's unfortunately not surprising that he would think that.
Yeah, winning is really not that important. Way to go, dude. And here's the thing. I was in Las Vegas two weekends ago, drove past the new Angels ballpark. Their owner has been very clear that he's in it for profit. Like, that's not – he hasn't invested in the A's at all, and that new stadium's obviously supposed to be a cash cow for him. But, yeah, to your point, Artie Moreno, man, putting your foot in it like that – man, crazy. All right, Scotty, the other thing, big news obviously here on the local front. Lauri Markkanen reportedly, according to Ben Anderson, a report also from the Salt Lake Tribune, he needs an MRI on his ankle and foot. There's also reports maybe a hamstring injury here. Have we infected the integrity of the game enough now?
No, because this is the right way. This is the old school. This is the accepted way to tank. See, the Jazz wanted you as a viewer of the Utah Jazz to have the best of both worlds.
Yep.
They wanted you to see your star players, and then they wanted to lose games. So you got to see Lauri and Jaren Jackson and Yusuf and his broken nose. You got to see them for a half or three quarters, and then shut it down, lose a game. But now you don't get any of that. So no, you don't get to enjoy that. You just got to enjoy the losing right now, because that's the only way that you can. That's the acceptable way to tank games.
This is phenomenal work, by the way, by the Utah Jazz. Yusuf, that septum that's deviated, go get that taken care of. Obviously, the whole thing with Jaren Jackson, they already knew about apparently this growth on his knee when he was traded to the Jazz. He wanted to play at least one home game, shut him down. Now we got Lauri Markkanen being shut down. Okay, this is conspiracy theory Jake stepping into the fray. What's Keyonte George going to come down with next?
Hangnail.
Oh, okay.
Mononucleosis.
Good
nice.
Good poll, Lloyd.
Hey, you know what? We ought to, and I know that, Lloyd, you were with another show that got in trouble for this, but I don't think we'd be out of bounds in like actually doing like a poll as to what the injury will be for Keyonte George.
Oh, jeez.
Because we know it's not really going to be real. Like, we're not anticipating that it's going to be an actual illness or an actual injury.
They can just lean on his ankle that he dinged up, 2-3 weeks ago, and still just claim that that's continuing to flare up.
It's why I always felt bad for our guy Rodney Hood that always had gastric distress. Like, man, give that guy something else.
Yeah.
Give him mononucleosis. It's anything but gastric distress.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we'll sit you out, but you're going to feel the pain on this one for sure. All right, so Jake, are you going ankle?
Well, I'm just thinking, like, if they want to just make it easy on him, they can just say that the ankle is flaring back up and shut him down that way.
Yeah, that's their easy out. That's the easy out is something that's already a little bit banged up.
If they want to be original, Mono's a good one. Mono's a good pull.
I'm gonna go hammy.
Okay.
Give me a hamstring for $200.
Hey, hammies are tricky.
They are.
Yeah, I know.
Hammies are tricky.
Yeah,
They're touchy. You can't mess with them at all.
Yeah, anybody who's ever pulled a hamstring can tell you that you deal with it how you deal with it.
And it's easily hideable with an MRI. Like, you say, like, well, he still feels pain. Well, it looks good here. Well, yeah, you know how it is. You know, it feels a little tight. And if he says it feels tight, we can't get him out there.
How's the Achilles with the MRI?
Ooh, you know what? That feels like you're playing with fire there.
Little fire? Okay.
Like
I'm just wondering.
Karma.
I'm just wondering because we know how any Achilles strain of any sort, at least if they play, see you later.
Okay, so
a la Pacers.
You guys didn't hear DJ the other morning talking about Tyrese Halliburton, did you? I did not hear that. So Tyrese Halliburton is out with the Achilles injury that he suffered, obviously, in the run last year. Well, he came down with shingles. And so DJ was like joking about this whole thing about shingles, and he was like, "Well, how does it happen?" I'm like, "Well, it comes from the chickenpox virus," and like it stopped DJ dead in his tracks. Well, I've had the chickenpox. I'm like, well, therefore you are a candidate yourself.
You could have shingles,
and he's
my
like,
friend.
I don't want to bring that down on me, so he stopped talking about it immediately. Like, good.
I remember chatting with Frank Layden, and I think we're out at the Utah Hall of Fame when they built that, and we were doing a show out there, and he had the shingles, and he said it was single-handedly the worst pain he's ever felt in his entire life.
It's bad news. So so to your point, you don't really want to mess with Achilles because you're bringing like bad juju on yourself or whoever the player because that one. That's a tough injury. So, real quick, Scotty, just wanted to get your thoughts on this. There's two things in the Big 12. So, Brennan Sorsby has been sued by Cincinnati, his former team, for $1 million as he has not paid his buyout to leave Cincinnati to join Texas Tech. Welcome to the new era.
Yep, good. And, look, I don't care who pays it. Like, everybody talks about, well, if coaches can leave. Okay,
Sure.
People don't realize that coaches have buyouts.
Yes.
Now, the university will pay it, or somebody will pay it, or they give them a no-interest forgivable loan, or, there's a lot of ways you can do it. But that money still exchanges hands. So if you're going to say, well, we're just going to be like the coaches, then fine, but you got to pay the bill. Whether Sorsby pays it or not, or the university pays it, wherever he ends up. It's Texas Tech, right, is where he ended up?
Yeah, so, and by the way, on this, it says, this is from The Athletic. According to the enforcement guidelines from the College Sports Commission, the CSC, which is kind of running all this stuff when it comes to NIL, the organization that oversees revenue sharing, his $1 million buyout must be accounted for by Texas Tech within their revenue cap for the fiscal year 2025-2026.
Okay. So, I mean, look, somebody's got to give them their money. Yeah. And because I think that's kind of, and I don't know soccer well enough, but that's kind of like, when you essentially buy a player off a club.
Transfer fee,
you
yeah.
give them a transfer fee, X amount of money, and which I'm okay with. If you're a player and you sign a 2-year contract and you have a $2 million buyout and somebody else wants you and is willing to pay that buyout, then you yourself as that university can then put that money towards another player.
Correct.
So I actually don't hate that. And then, if people actually follow through with it.
That's a good point. Yeah. So, but the lawsuit has been filed by Cincinnati, and according to this, also from The Athletic, apparently it's going to fall on Sorsby to actually pay it out. They're speaking of Texas, they have to account for it. They actually don't have to pay it. They can essentially tell Sorsby, "Hey, you pay your money. Like you figure it out." So, very curious there. Also on the Big 12 front, Robert Livingston, who has been Colorado's defensive coordinator the past 2 seasons, he's leaving for the Denver Broncos.
Come on to the good side, folks.
Yes.
Let's go.
So, leaving the Buffs high and dry as they've actually been somewhat decent on defense, but he's headed to join your guys in the orange and blue.
He knows how to pick a winner. That's right.
So, interested to see how Coach Prime figures this out.
I'm trying. You know what? I won't say anything more because I know Lloyd's already mad at me because of things that were outside of my control. But you know what? I hope that he does well. But that Denver defense isn't very good next year, so I would anticipate the Raiders should be able to. Whoever's coaching.
There you go.
Go up and down the field on them. Is he smiling at all, or does he still have that angry look on his face?
It's a mixture of both.
Oh man. Oh, I'm going to hear about this. All right.
Hey,
Jake,
you got I don't even know who should throw this to break. You want to throw it to break,
you
Jake?
You got Fernando Mendoza coming your way,
buddy. How about
it,
Jake?
You got Fernando Mendoza coming your way. Just be happy.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Want to throw it to break,
if it works
Jake?
out.
Why not?
It's all you, buddy.
Yeah, try it out.
Okay, well, more in a moment. Scotty G and friends right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Jake Hatch, Scotty G, along with Scotty. Did you hear the intro there? Is he there?
I just heard. Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay.
Did he change it up?
May have made a slight edit.
Boyd, what did you do?
He's gonna play here.
Hold on. Let's see what we did here. What did we do here? Hold on. Bear with me. Gotta pull it up here. Oh, there it is.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We got a new open, Scotty. There you go.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
All
right. Hey, by the way, Jay, great job, man. I appreciate you holding down the fort.
Absolutely happy to do it. Thanks for the invite.
Are you gonna get your fish tacos while you're down there?
Probably not. I got to, as soon as I get settled in here, I'm going to go and interview Coach and get ready for pregame, and then in a couple hours, head on over to the arena, call a game, and then a 6 a.m. flight back tomorrow so I can be on the air at our good friends over at RGS and Tim and the crew, ready to hang out with those guys because they're the best. And Kevin and Lloyd,
Well,
I'll be all right.
I'm just saying, fingers
it's
crossed.
The night flights that get you into trouble.
Absolutely.
We're gonna be okay.
You've heard the whole story
Let's
about.
not put that out there.
You know Brian. You know Brian Dunseth, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so do you know why he uses the whole thing about the whole like first flight out deal? Is because he, to your point, Scotty, refuses to deal with flights later in the day. The chances of getting out, obviously, when you take that first flight of the day, very, very high. So that's literally, he will get up at all hours of the night to literally take those early flights.
Yeah. Yep. I've learned my lesson. So now what I'm going to do, Lloyd, is next year we're going to leave the morning of, get in time for the show, and do it from the hotel, and instead of leaving on the last flight out.
What is this? Your first year traveling?
That is not.
This sounds like a Gary Croton, Nevada situation.
What, are you just barely learning these things? Been traveling much?
You know what? I'm going to let you go. I'm gonna let you have your day. I totally get it. I know you're mad, and I understand. You have every right to be a little cranky. So I'm just gonna sit here and take it, and then when I get back in tomorrow, we'll. What would you like from San Diego? What can I bring you from San Diego?
I don't need anything from San Diego. I need my Scotty G. That's all I need. Just my Scotty G and friends. Scotty G and friends is all I need.
All right. Okay. I will be back tomorrow. But, yeah, by the way, Dunny's 1,000% correct. Morning flights, definitely the way to go. It sucks waking up at 5 a.m. or 4:30, but definitely worth it.
All right, Scotty.
Hey, good show today.
It was
good
fun.
Stuff.
You know, you hang out, and thanks for doing what you do, and obviously you have a good call tonight. Obviously, we're looking forward to seeing how the Aggies perform against the Aztecs.
Yeah, fun one. Always fun when these two teams get after it. A lot of history between these guys. JJ and Alex coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.